Number 1. The Jewel of Central Asia. When you hear Kyrgyzstan, what comes to your mind first? Snowy mountains, nomads on horseback, beautiful Kyrgyz women, yurts, eagle hunters, or a country so hidden that many people still can't find it on the map? Kyrgyzstan sits deep in Central Asia, surrounded by Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and China. It has no coastline, no ocean, and no giant world-famous city. But what it does have is raw beauty, open land, horses, yurts, and a nomadic culture that still feels alive. People often call Kyrgyzstan the heart of Central Asia, or the Switzerland of Asia. But this is not Switzerland with luxury resorts and perfect roads. This is a wilder version, shaped by ice, stone, wind, and survival. The name Kyrgyzstan is often linked to an old legend about the hero Manas, who united 40 ancient tribes into one nation. That idea is still seen on the Kyrgyz flag, where the sun has 40 rays, symbolizing those tribes and the unity of the Kyrgyz people. The country covers about 77,000 square miles, with a population of around 7 million people. But the real surprise is the landscape. Its capital, Bishkek, sits in a broad valley near the northern border with Kazakhstan, while most of the south is a maze of peaks, valleys, and hidden villages. The climate is as fierce as the terrain. Winters are bone-freezing, dropping below -22 degrees Fahrenheit in high valleys when Siberian winds sweep through. Summers, meanwhile, can scorch like fire, soaring past 104 degrees Fahrenheit in the lowlands, while snow still clings to the mountains above. In the high summer pastures called Jailu, life can look almost timeless. Nomadic herders ride through open grasslands with sheep, goats, and horses, sleeping in yurts under huge skies, just like their ancestors did for generations. This is Kyrgyzstan, the jewel of Central Asia. And what about you? Where are you watching from? Comment your country below. Number 2. The mysterious beauty of Kyrgyz women. When you arrive in any country, one of the first things you notice is the people. And in Kyrgyzstan, many visitors are quickly struck by the beauty of Kyrgyz women. Their look is easy to recognize. Olive-tanned skin shaped by life in the highlands, dark hair, sharp eyes, high cheekbones, and a calm strength that seems to match the mountains around them. Their beauty often carries a mix of Central Asian, Turkic, Mongolic, and sometimes Russian features, reflecting centuries of movement, trade, and blended bloodlines along the old Silk Road. If you'd like to conquer the unique, captivating charm of Kyrgyz women, drop a 9 in the comments below. During festivals, you may see women wearing the elachek, a traditional white headscarf. In recent years, UNESCO recognized elachek as part of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. But this is not just a piece of cloth. The way it is wrapped, the number of layers, the decorations, and the style can tell people about a woman's age, region, social status, and family background. Older women often wear simpler versions with more cloth, while wealthier families may have more decorated elacheks. But Kyrgyz women are not frozen in the past. In cities like Bishkek, many young women study, work, use social media, dress in modern styles, and live much like young women in other parts of the world. You may see them in cafes, universities, offices, shops, and on busy city streets, balancing modern dreams with family expectations. And that balance is not always easy. One of the darkest and most controversial customs linked to Kyrgyzstan is bride kidnapping, known locally as ala kachu. Although it is illegal today, cases still happen, especially in more traditional areas. Some people try to present it as an old custom, but in reality, it can put young women under heavy pressure to accept a marriage they may not truly want. This remains one of the hardest issues in Kyrgyz society, and many activists, families, and young women are pushing back against it. Number 3. The Soviet city with a Central Asian soul. Bishkek is not the kind of capital that tries too hard to impress you. But the longer you stay, the more Bishkek starts to feel interesting. This city was shaped heavily by the Soviet Union, and you can still see that past everywhere. There are broad avenues, concrete apartment blocks, government buildings, monuments, parks, and public squares that feel very different from the chaotic old cities of Central Asia. Alatu Square, in the center of Bishkek, is one of the main places where people gather, celebrate, protest, and watch the country's public life unfold. But Bishkek is not just Soviet concrete. It also has a Central Asian heart. Go to Osh Bazaar and the city changes completely. Suddenly, you are surrounded by spices, dried fruit, bread, meat, tea, clothes, household goods, and people bargaining from every direction. You smell fresh bread, grilled meat, and fruit stands. You see women selling dairy, men carrying boxes, old people drinking tea, and young people moving through the crowd with phones in their hands. This is where Bishkek feels alive. The city also has a strong cafe culture. Kyrgyz people love sitting for tea, coffee, long conversations, and slow meals. In one neighborhood, you may see a Soviet-style apartment block. A few streets later, you find a modern coffee shop, a Korean restaurant, a Turkish cafe, or a small bar filled with students and young workers. At night, Bishkek becomes more relaxed, but still lively. There are bars, clubs, lounges, karaoke spots, and restaurants where young people gather after work or university. It is not as wild as Bangkok or Berlin, but for a small mountain capital, Bishkek has more nightlife than many visitors expect. And then there is the strange contrast. This is a city where you can wake up in a Soviet-era apartment, eat traditional Kyrgyz bread, drink coffee in a modern cafe, walk through a crowded bazaar, and still see snowy mountains at the end of the street. Number 4. The Nomad Games. Forget everything you know about the Olympics. In Kyrgyzstan, the most exciting games do not happen inside glossy stadiums with perfect lights and luxury seats. They happen in open fields, with horses, dust, drums, eagles, and people keeping ancient nomadic traditions alive. This is the spirit of the World Nomad Games, an event so wild that it can feel like stepping back into the 13th century. Here, athletes do not only compete in normal sports, they compete in eagle hunting, falconry, archery, horseback wrestling, mounted archery, endurance riding, and one of the most intense games in Central Asia, Kokboru. Kokboru is not for the weak. Two teams of riders battle on horseback to grab a headless goat carcass and throw it into a raised goal. Imagine rugby, but played at full speed on horses, with dust flying, bodies crashing, and hundreds of hooves pounding the ground. The riders wear traditional kalpak hats and padded gear, and when the whistle blows, the whole field explodes into chaos. Some riders pick up objects from the ground at full speed. Others compete in mounted wrestling, where two men try to pull each other off their horses. Everything looks risky, but that is exactly the point. These games were born in a world where people had to be strong, fast, and ready for hard conditions. But the Nomad Games are not only about strength. You may also see yurt building contests, women's horse races, ethnic fashion shows, folk music, and storytelling battles called Eitish, where poets face each other in rhythmic verse. Even children take part, riding ponies, singing folk songs, and showing that the nomadic spirit starts early. And if you stand there in the crowd, you don't just watch a sport. You hear the drums, smell the horses, feel the dust in the air, and see eagles flying against the sun. For a moment, Kyrgyzstan's nomadic past does not feel old at all. It feels alive. So let me ask you, would you dare to watch Kokboru from the sidelines, or maybe even try it yourself? Comment yes below if you would give it a shot. But in Kyrgyzstan, not every athlete rides into the arena on a horse. Some arrive with a golden eagle perched on their arm, eyes sharp as blades, trained to hunt in silence across the endless steppe. Number 5. The eagle hunting tradition. High in the icy mountains of Kyrgyzstan, power doesn't come from machines. It comes from wings. For more than 1,000 years, the Kyrgyz have practiced berkuchi, the ancient art of hunting with golden eagles. These birds, with wingspans stretching over 2 meters, aren't just animals. They are partners, symbols of freedom, and living links to a past where survival depended on skill, patience, and respect for nature. Each eagle, usually a female because she's larger and fiercer, is trained from youth. Hunters climb steep cliffs to take eaglets from nests, often risking their lives on narrow ledges. The bond begins the moment the bird is brought home. For months, the berkuchi sleeps beside it, feeds it by hand, and whispers softly until the eagle accepts him as its master. It's not domination. It's trust. Once that bond forms, the bird will follow his voice, even in the chaos of a hunt. In winter, when snow covers the mountains and prey becomes scarce, the eagle and hunter ride out together. Wrapped in fur coats and heavy gloves, they search for foxes, rabbits, or even wolves moving across the white expanse. At the signal, the eagle dives, silent, deadly, and precise. A single strike from those talons can snap the neck of its prey in an instant. Today, about 400 eagle hunters remain in Kyrgyzstan, mostly in the Issyk-Kul and Narin regions. Many take part in festivals and demonstrations, not for fame, but to keep the tradition alive. During the World Nomad Games, these hunters compete for pride, whose eagle flies fastest, lands most gracefully, and responds most faithfully. Each performance is part sport, part sacred ritual. Number 6. The bread offered to the dead. What you're looking at right now is borsuk, a deep-fried bread that's savory, not sweet. It's usually eaten with chopped tomatoes, cucumbers, fermented mare's milk, and a cup of hot tea. You'll find borsuk across Central Asia, from Kazakhstan to Tajikistan. But in Kyrgyzstan, this bread carries a meaning that can genuinely unsettle first-time visitors. For the Kyrgyz people, borsuk is closely tied to death and remembrance. When someone passes away, the family fries borsuk every Thursday, during the first year after the death. It is also prepared on the 40th day after the funeral and again on the 1-year anniversary. Alongside borsuk, the table is filled with tokoch, round bread made from the same dough, candies, cookies, jams, honey, fruits, and nuts. During the ritual, verses from the Quran are recited, but only married women or men are allowed to lead the prayer. Widows are traditionally excluded from performing this role. The belief is deeply symbolic. The smell of hot oil from the fried bread carries prayers to the souls of the deceased, creating a bridge between the living and the dead. If a family faces misfortune like illness or accidents, they will fry 9 tokoch breads to ask for protection and good luck. And despite its association with mourning, borsuk is also present at weddings and festivals. Locals say that without borsuk, a celebration feels incomplete, as if it has lost its soul. But when it comes to the living, Kyrgyz food tells a very different story. Because here in the mountains, even a simple meal can feel like a piece of survival art. Number 7. Unique and unforgettable dishes. Kyrgyz cuisine is not a random collection of dishes. It follows one clear rule: food must warm the body, sustain long journeys, and strengthen human bonds. At the center of the table is beshbarmak, the national dish. Lamb or beef is boiled for hours until tender, finely chopped, and served over wide handmade noodles with hot broth poured back on top. That same broth often becomes shorpo, a clear meat soup simmered with onions, carrots, and potatoes. Light yet aromatic, it's meant to restore energy in cold mountain climates and usually opens the meal. To absorb every drop of moisture, naan bread is always present. This flat round bread is baked in a clay oven, crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. As you walk through the streets, you'll also see beautifully decorated loaves of bread displayed like works of art. Because bread is considered sacred in Kyrgyz culture, if a local offers you bread, you must accept it, as refusing is considered extremely disrespectful. For gatherings and celebrations, Manti takes over the table. These oversized steamed dumplings are filled with minced meat and onions, carefully sealed so the juices stay inside. Making Manti is often a family event, involving several generations. Then comes kurdak. It is one of the most primal dishes in Kyrgyz cuisine, reflecting the nomadic rule of eating fresh and wasting nothing. It is made by quickly frying chunks of lamb, beef, or horse meat with onions and sometimes potatoes in animal fat. There is no broth and no sauce, just meat cooked hot and fast, allowing the natural flavors and richness to dominate. Traditionally, kurdak was prepared immediately after slaughter, when refrigeration did not exist, making it a dish tied closely to survival. No meal feels complete without borsuk, small pieces of dough deep-fried until golden. They appear at weddings, festivals, and memorials alike, often served with tea honey or jam. In local belief, the smell of frying oil carries prayers upward. To drink, there is kyrgyz fermented horse milk with a slightly sour, fizzy taste. Consumed daily in rural areas, it's believed to aid digestion and strengthen the body, especially during summer grazing season. So which of these dishes would you want to try the most? Share your choice in the comments below. Number 8. Breathtaking wonders of Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is one of those countries where nature feels bigger than everything else. Start with Lake Issyk-Kul, the most famous natural wonder in Kyrgyzstan. It is one of the largest mountain lakes in the world, surrounded by snowy peaks and long beaches. The strange thing is that even in winter, this lake does not fully freeze, which is why locals call it the warm lake. In summer, families come here to swim, relax, and escape the heat, while the mountains rise in the background like a wall. Then there is Songkul Lake. Much higher, colder, and quieter. This is where Kyrgyzstan feels truly nomadic. Around the lake, you see yurts, horses, sheep, wide grasslands, and open sky in every direction. There are no big resorts here, no crowded streets, and no nightlife. Just wind, animals, and families living on the summer pastures. If you want something more dramatic, go to Ala Archa National Park, not far from Bishkek. In just a short drive from the capital, you can reach alpine valleys, glaciers, rivers, and sharp mountain views. It is one of the easiest places to see how quickly Kyrgyzstan changes from city life to wild nature. Another unforgettable place is Ogus, famous for its red rock formations. The most famous one is called the Seven Bulls, a row of red cliffs that look like giant animals lying beside the valley. Nearby is the Broken Heart Rock, which comes with local legends about love, jealousy, and tragedy. And then there is Skazka Canyon, also called Fairy Tale Canyon. The rocks here have strange shapes and colors: red, orange, yellow, and brown, carved by wind and rain into forms that look like castles, animals, and melted towers. It feels like walking through a natural sculpture park. But if you want to see the wilder side of Kyrgyzstan, you have to go deeper, to Sari Jaz Valley, one of the most remote and untouched places in the country. This valley is hidden inside the Tian Shan Mountains, not far from the Chinese border, surrounded by peaks rising more than 23,000 feet into the sky. There are no big crowds here, no luxury resorts, and no easy city comfort. Just mountains, rivers, glaciers, and a landscape that still feels almost completely wild. And after exploring for a while, when your legs start to feel tired, this place has one more surprise: natural hot springs. Near the town of Engelchek, you can find the Karatash Hot Springs, also known as the Black Stone Hot Springs. They sit in a beautiful spot right beside a flowing river, with mountains all around. Imagine soaking in hot water while cold air moves through the valley and glacier-fed water rushes nearby. It feels simple, but incredibly relaxing. But be careful. The water can be really hot. Number 9. Nomadic life lasted for over 3,000 years. The people of Kyrgyzstan come from a nomadic origin that stretches back more than 3,000 years. For most of their history, survival meant movement. Nomadic clans migrated across Central Asia, eventually settling in rural and mountainous regions. Unlike Mongolia, where nomads live on wide open grasslands, Kyrgyzstan is overwhelmingly mountainous. In this terrain, private land ownership holds little meaning. Mobility is far more valuable than fixed property. That is why the yurt remains central to daily life. A yurt is a circular, portable tent made from a collapsible wooden frame, traditionally crafted from willow, tied together with rope, and covered with felt or thick fabric. It is designed to be assembled and dismantled quickly. Each yurt features a circular opening at the top called the tunduk, which can be opened or closed to control light and ventilation. It is the national symbol of Kyrgyzstan and appears at the center of the country's flag. Although the number of full-time nomads has declined, yurts are still widely used today. They serve as seasonal homes, roadside cafes, shops, and community spaces. Along highways and near Lake Issyk-Kul, travelers often see yurts offering meals, tea, or overnight stays. Many camps now offer solar-powered electricity, charging stations, Wi-Fi, and even modern bathrooms, all while minimizing environmental impact. Seasonal migration is a key part of this lifestyle. During summer, families move their herds to high mountain pastures known as Jailu, often located above 9,800 feet, where grass is fresh and abundant. In winter, they descend to lower elevations to escape snow and extreme cold. When it is time to move, the yurt is dismantled, packed onto animals, and transported across mountains and valleys. Once removed, the land returns almost exactly to its original state. Number 10. The country where horses matter more than cars. At first glance, Kyrgyzstan looks strangely empty. No fences, no clear property lines. Vast valleys, rolling hills, and mountain slopes are completely open. And that's not because the country is poor at organization. It's because in Kyrgyzstan, land was never meant to be owned. For more than 3,000 years, the Kyrgyz people lived as nomads. Survival depended on movement following grasslands, water sources, and seasons. In a world like that, fences were useless. You could not trap life behind metal or wood when herds needed to move thousands of miles every year. What truly mattered wasn't land ownership, but mobility. And mobility meant horses. Horses were everything. Transportation, food status, labor, and even identity. A man without a horse was helpless. A family with strong horses could survive brutal winters and long migrations. Today, outside major cities like Bishkek or Osh, horses are still more practical than cars. Kyrgyzstan is over 90% mountainous. Roads disappear quickly once you leave urban areas. In winter, snow blocks mountain passes. In summer, rain turns dirt roads into mud traps. A car can break down, run out of fuel, or get stuck. A horse keeps going. In many villages, people still ride horses to visit neighbors, herd animals, transport goods, or reach high-altitude pastures. It is completely normal to see horses tied outside schools, markets, or even roadside cafes. Some highways have warning signs, not for deer, but for horses crossing freely. Economics also play a role. Buying a car can cost several thousand US, far beyond what many rural families can afford. A horse, on the other hand, can cost much less, requires no fuel, and feeds itself by grazing. In a low-income country, that calculation matters. Because land has always been shared, fencing is rare. Blocking land would interrupt ancient migration routes used by livestock for generations. That's why horses roam freely across open fields, villages, and even mountain roads. If a horse wanders into your land, it's not trespassing. It's simply passing through, as it has done for centuries. Even national identity reflects this bond. Horses appear in festivals, sports, food, and folklore. Children learn to ride almost as soon as they learn to walk. Many Kyrgyz people trust their horse more than any engine. Many traditional sports combine both riding skill and physical strength. The most famous is Kokboru, one of the most intense traditional sports in Kyrgyzstan, rooted in nomadic warfare training. Two teams of riders on horseback fight to seize a 70-pound goat carcass and drop it into a stone scoring pit called a Tai Kazan. There are no sidelines, constant physical contact, and players must lean from a galloping horse while opponents shove and block them. Number 11. The cost of living shock. Kyrgyzstan feels like a country frozen in a different economic era, and for visitors, the prices can be genuinely disorienting. This is one of the rare places left where everyday life has not been pulled into the global cost of living spiral. In 2024, Kyrgyzstan's GDP per capita sits at around $2,410 a year, a figure that explains why even basic expenses remain astonishingly low. Food is the first surprise. A full local meal, including lamb soup, bread, tea, and fermented dairy products, usually costs $2 to $4. Even heavier meat-based dishes like kyrdak or dimlama rarely exceed $5. Street food such as samsa or fresh borsuk often sells for under $1, meaning you can eat an entire day's worth of local food for less than the price of a single fast food combo. Housing creates an even stronger contrast. In smaller towns and rural regions, a night in a family-run guest house can cost as little as $5 to $8. In Bishkek, the capital city, a clean private room frequently stays below $20 per night. In comparison, that same amount might barely cover a couple of coffees or a short rideshare trip back home. Transportation costs almost feel symbolic. City buses typically charge 15 to 25 cents per ride, while taxis across town often stay under $3. Monthly living expenses for a single person outside the capital can range between $300 and $400, covering rent, food, transportation, and basic utilities. Even in Bishkek, $500 a month can still support a modest but comfortable lifestyle. But this affordability comes with context. Low prices reflect low wages, limited job opportunities, and a heavy reliance on remittances from citizens working abroad. For locals, life is not cheap in the way it feels for visitors. Still, for Americans used to relentless expenses, Kyrgyzstan delivers one of the most extreme cost of living shocks left on the planet. But it's still a worthwhile budget travel destination. So, would you actually want to visit Kyrgyzstan, ride across the mountains, sleep in a yurt, and experience a way of life that hasn't changed for thousands of years? Comment yes or no below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more surprising countries around the world, and I'll see you in the next one.